Every day in the USA, people find themselves in court. Looking at papers, shuffling
Well,
papers.
this is the time and date for sentencing in the matter of People versus Kyle Thomas Miller. Mr. Miller was charged with larceny over $1,000, but under $20,000, and a misdemeanor larceny of over 200, but less than 1,000. The felony charge was dismissed, and Mr. Miller pled to larceny 200 to 1,000 on Monday morning, March 18th. And I wasn't clear exactly what happened. So I set the matter for sentencing for April 29th and watched the videos and tried to read the police reports. There were multiple videos. There were surveillance videos, police investigation videos, scene videos. And so I had a chance to get a sense of what it was that was at issue and read the report. So at the time of sentencing, then I learned we were talking about more than just scrap metal out of a recycling bin, but an expensive to replace heavy metal dock plate. At the earlier hearing on March 29th, March 18th, Mr. Miller told me that he took the stuff out of a dumpster. He said the stuff was in a dumpster. And I said, well, it wasn't a dumpster and it wasn't your dumpster. But then he acknowledged that he took the plate and loaded up with a winch. So we got over that hurdle, but he contended that he had permission somehow from the owner of Clark Logic, Jamie Clark, to take this, which I frankly didn't believe. He also denied that he told the officers that he had permission from Jamie Clark to take it. So I wanted to hear from Officer Greenhalgh or Holcomb, whoever the officers were, and Jamie Clark. Mr. Clark is the owner and operator of a multi-million-dollar business known as Clark Logic. And I know him, and I'd hope to get some information from him. So I continued the matter until this morning to get that further information, and it doesn't sound like we're going to get it. What I was hopeful for that was Mr. Miller would just acknowledge responsibility, but there's always an excuse. There's always, oh, we didn't understand this. Somebody didn't under this. I was hoping you just look me in the eye and tell me what happened. But when we were here on the 29th, you said, well, I never took anything out of a dumpster. No, yeah, April 29th. So I looked at the earlier hearing where you did tell me you took something out of a dumpster. And your position is still somehow that you didn't tell Officer Greenhalgh you had Jamie Clark's permission. And then you said you did have Jamie Clark's permission. They had seen it on the surveillance video. Your vehicle is distinctive. You run a handyman business, and it's the kind of vehicle that would be for that. It had ladders on the side, and you had a trailer. One of the employees of Clark Logic saw you at Little Caesars and took your picture. And I think you realized at that point that there was something going on. So at some point you called Clark Logic, gave your name and number, and it went on from there. anyway, I'd hoped to hear from Jamie Clark what happened. Melissa, did anybody talk to Mr. Clark again?
No, Your Honor. I did review the police reports again. I watched the video evidence as well. I think it's clear that Mr. Clark did not give permission to this gentleman to take anything. I think that's been clear from the beginning. I know that maybe this isn't the largest theft that Mr. Clark's dealing with. We've had a string of these issues, which is very concerning, especially with the scrap metal, but this plate was very expensive. The officer that called and spoke with Mr. Clark is a longtime officer that if he states that he spoke with Mr. Clark and Mr. Clark says, I know who this gentleman is and I did not give him permission, I think we have that. It is concerning. The defendant did not accept responsibility at our prior sentencing. The staff indicated in the video that these items weren't just out by where the trash would be. These were, the plate as well as the dumpster were kind of set back and behind a different little building. So, it's not just right out on a curb or something like that. So, I think Your Honor has the right understanding of how this case went. He's not so far accepted any responsibility and is misrepresenting what happened. I think if there was allegedly any type of understanding or miscommunication between the defendant and Mr. Clark, that again, the defense could reach out and, maybe re-question that. But I think it's clear from the report itself. It's not just, I don't think I told him. There was absolutely no permission to take this.
All right, that's the prosecutor's position. Ross, what's your position?
Well, Your Honor's correct that there was a lot of justification and explaining away things at the last sentencing hearing and even at the plea hearing. I believe, though, that this adjourned sentencing with the jail hold that was placed it's kind of given Mr. Miller some time to reflect more effectively on his role and his misconduct. I hate to have to prosecute my own client, but he went there under the dark of night and removed property that was not his. And he's understanding that that is a problem. I don't think there is any more dumpster diving nonsense, any more idea that this was somehow justified. As Your Honor seen in your long career, folks, especially in larceny type situations, will wrangle around and wiggle through to try to justify why it wasn't really thievery. And I think there was some of that going on. But I think once Mr. Miller had a chance to sit alone and understand that this was a theft, this wasn't a misunderstanding. He is now contrite. I don't believe there is any longer a desire to try to explain away. One of his concerns during this period he's been incarcerated is his own shop. And I think that shows, he's got a shop on the south side where his business tools are. And a big fear of his is somebody going in and taking his valuable tools. That kind of shows to me some sort of progress and understanding of property rights, the right to be secure in your possessions, and that it's a two-way street. So I would ask Your Honor to view the jail time that's been imposed pending this second sentencing and the prior memorandum from the prosecution and not order any further jail time.
Mr. Miller, what would you like to say at this point? Anything you want to tell me?
I messed up, but I shouldn't have done what I did. I was wrong in what I did. Now I'm just trying to make up for it. I should have,
And you didn't have Jamie Clark or anybody else's permission to take it.
no, sir. No.
Well, we could have saved a lot of time. Ross is right. He hit the nail right on the head. People often, when they're charged with larceny, they'll admit stealing some of it, but not all of it. It's like they want to retain some dignity. And when they really did all of it. And this had been your pattern, is always to not quite accept responsibility. It's like, I did it, but as you know, I didn't really even want to do this one. I talked to Judge Pattison about it this morning. He said, I told that guy if I saw him again, I was going to give him a bunch of jail. So maybe it's lucky you don't have Judge Pattison. But your friend is here. She's been here at every proceeding, so you got that going for you. But Melissa, is there any restitution?
No, Your Honor,
I
this
didn't think
is,
so. It was recovered,
yeah,
other than the headache of it.
yep.
And we didn't have to drag, in fact, I was gonna call him up. If he didn't acknowledge, I was gonna call Jamie Clark and ask him what happened, but we didn't have to do that. If that had happened, you would have got a lot of jail time. It isn't that hard to say, I messed up, I did it, and I'd like to go forward from here. And it isn't just you. I do this all the time. I try to get all the way down to the kernel of the truth and acceptance of responsibility. And the irony is, you're afraid that somebody like you is going to come steal your stuff and sell it to these crooks that are fencing this stolen property. I hope it doesn't happen, but you know who's out there. I canceled your bond on the 29th. Today is the 3rd. What do they show as your jail credit? I think your lawyer's wise too. Your acknowledgement of responsibility is the difference between 10 days in jail credit 4. You might have another day up front. Credit 5. Having 5 days to serve, less good time, and 90 to 180 days. If you had stuck with that story and I called Mr. Clark and he said no, he would have been mowing lawns at the jail this summer. 5 days credit, 10 days. You got a few more days minus good time. Fine is 0. There's a $75 crime victims' rights fee, a $50 state minimum fee, and a $150 attorney fee, which is $275. Make that due by June 15th. When you get out, I hope you're not like looking for the next scam or some, you got a business going, maybe you could make it as that, but you got to have a good reputation, not a bad one, to grow a business. June 15th. All right, Mr. Miller, you're good to go. Thank you, Ross.
Thank you, Judge.
I think some of his awareness was based on your discussion. Ma'am, I don't know what his out date will be. He's gonna get good time credit. It's probably about 8 days. So you might check with the jail. He's probably gonna be eligible to get out about Sunday, maybe Monday. All right, thank you for being here. All right, thank you both.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Judge.